You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Show before, one of the people that he called before this process was happening or before it got to the end, and he called Sean Bell, who is still working for Houston. And Coach Bell is the passing game coordinator and quarterbacks coach there for University of Houston. And they've known each other since the Baylor era. And Joey said when I called him, he said that Coach Bell answered the phone and said, "I know why you're calling. Don't you try to take this guy away from us." Right. Don't do it. But as they got into it, I mean, Coach Bell knew, I think, that the finances and the dynamics and all that stuff. And he said to Joey, he's one of the best game day coaches I've ever been around. What he adjusts to, what he calls in certain situations, and how he manages a game with this defense. And this is kind of what led to that one stat. I mean, I think when he's called the defense and his teams have scored like 30 points, he's undefeated. I can't remember the number now, but we talked about this to which I asked Coach Wood about this back in August, I guess it was. And I didn't know him that well at the time. And he's like, stats are for losers, man. Like, I don't even know if that's true. I think it is true, and it still holds to this point. But that's kind of the circle that's going on here. And I just think that's why Joey, he's been very impressed by the personality, but also the knowledge and just his ability to manage. And I think he got to see that firsthand in Salt Lake City, because that thing is hanging in the balance. There's 8 or 9 minutes to go. It's a 13-10 game. But to this point, your defense has only given up 10 points. Your first team defense, your first team guys, only given up 10 points on the season through 4 games. But been an unbelievable addition. And Coach Wood would be the first one to tell you, man, this is all about these kids. I have really good players here. And so I'm just here trying to put them in the best spot. But your linebackers have played really good, and that's what Coach Wood is specifically in charge of. And, I think that he's enjoying being in Lubbock, Texas, because it's been pretty good to this point. But they know that their work's not done. But that's the kind of guys that you have in charge of this deal. If you kind of feel the vibe and be where your feet are type mentality, it's pretty impressive.
I'm sure he knows it's Jimmy's and Joe's and Lee. Oh, yeah. And not X's and O's and me. I'll give you that one for a free DC t-shirt. Go ahead. That's free of charge. The next idea will cost you. I'm kind of wondering, though, man, he's probably one of those that's sort of like the pressure for him was maybe underrated or under-discussed coming into this year when you're talking about all this you're stacking up with a new roster. And, hey, welcome to town. We expect you to field the best defense we've had in decades. No pressure. I mean, it's kind of like you got these nice objects and shiny toys to work with, but there's also a really, really high standard that's coming with that. I don't know who wouldn't want to try and rise to that challenge, but I think he's probably one of those that had to be feeling some additional pressure. We've talked a lot about like your head coach or quarterback coming into the season, maybe Clay McGuire. I know there's pressure for everybody, but Shiel Wood has to be pretty high on that list given the potential that his group was going to have. First, today's episode brought to you by Mazda. And Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive. And that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go beyond safety, style, and performance to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every detail. And with Mazda, your family's safety is number one. And that's why Mazda's won more 2025 IIHS Top Safety Pick awards than anybody else. And Mazda offers more than safety with smooth handling, intuitive controls, and standard all-wheel drive in every crossover SUV. It's the small details that make the big plays, and just like there's more to every player, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all the money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it can be easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. You're going to love the all-in-one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money today. Use our code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com and our code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year.
Yeah, what's the old saying? Too much is given, much is expected.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know if he viewed it like that. Look, he had Jimmy's and Joe's last year.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a DT that ended up here, okay, in AJ Holmes. He had a corner that ended up at Florida State. He had a safety that ended up at LSU. He had legit people on that side of the ball last year, and he certainly does this year. But they're probably, but that's not how he viewed it. And I think that there's beauty in simplicity, because I don't think that we're seeing some crazy nuance that you're throwing out there. It's just, we're going to play really hard. We're going to try to put like John Curry to Star was a subtle move. Now it was necessitated by an injury to Dingle and some other things, but just kind of how they've managed these various personalities, and taking David Bailey out and putting AJ Holmes in certain packages. I mean, this is just I think he knows what to do with really quality pieces and not overcoach them, which is there's so many coaches get in the way. And then they overthink it and like, okay, we got to, and sometimes the best coaches, they get guys to play hard, keep it simple, and then it's just beautiful. And so far you're kind of seeing there's a lot more going on than I guess what I would know, but you get what I'm saying. The general premise holds true.
Yeah, all of us, not to act like it's just some caveman type of science or whatever they're getting into, but you play fast, you play hard when you're not having to think too much. I think that goes back probably to the dawn of football. And anytime, and I may have missed a comment from Coach Wood here or there when he got here, but I didn't hear a whole lot about we're going to be multiple, we're going to be versatile, yada, 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 which translates to I'm going to confuse the hell out of these guys. I'm going to give them too much to think about between their ears, and we'll play slower. Does that sound good? Ready, break. I didn't hear a lot of that, so I was getting scratched where I was itching because of some things we had previously heard. And credit to those guys that try to do it, and maybe you got personnel to do it sometimes, but I think that's been the exception, at least as far as our local experience here. As for the experience on Saturday, Chris, and kind of gauging this challenge, I want to get to the aspect of some of what we've heard from the audience and the fan base this week, whether in the Matador Mob or on RedRaidersports.com, because it seems like there are some varied approaches to expectations for this week. But as far as the football challenge, it's kind of hard to extrapolate from some of that non-conference action a whole lot, but just going from week one of the Big 12 to now this one, I mean, these are some pretty varied offensive approaches, aren't they? So I feel like in and of itself, that is kind of a big challenge to try and, regather after the open week. And all right, guys, now we've got to me at least, almost totally different type of offensive challenge in front of us.
Yeah, and you're talking about Houston's
versus Utah.
Yeah, that's so. What Houston is going to be, and this is what kind of Coach Wood had said the other day, and then what I've seen, but it's you've got a very good quarterback with a lot of upside that will use his legs. I think he can sling it. He has not turned the ball over. The first, I guess it was the first pass attempt on Friday night, he floated it, and that was the first turnover, and I think the only turnover of the entire season for Houston on offense. So that's really a staple of a Willie Fritz coach football team, is they just don't beat themselves. They don't give you the ball and all that. That's a game within the game. Can you take the ball away and all those things? They've got, this running back and that I think is just as much of a threat out of the backfield catching it as he is running it, and Dean Connors. And then this is a tight end that from Ball State that was kind of a big portal guy and went to Wisconsin and then didn't like the vibe there and then transferred to Houston after spring football. Tanner Koziel. And they've got two capable guys on the outside that I think, are good receivers. I don't know how good they are up front over the period of time for, because Dalton Merriman is a guy that I think that you were like, hey man, it's just not good enough here. We're gonna let you go. We're not gonna retain you or fight to retain you, however you want to phrase that, when he got in the portal and all those things. But Coach Wood basically kind of said, look, this is a team that is balanced. This is a team that doesn't screw it up. This is a team that is very particular and careful and choosy when they decide to take their shots down the field on, okay, like they set it up, and then, okay, we're going to max protect, and then now we're going to take a shot down the field, okay? And they're very smart with how that works. But this is, like you are, this is a team that's replaced both coordinators from last year. Obviously, they have to replace their defensive coordinator, who was at University of Florida as a co-coordinator a year ago. But their offensive coordinator was, I think, coaching at LSU, I think, last year, and maybe some special teams, if memory serves. So there's some Tulane ties and all that stuff. That's how he kind of but anyway, this is, it'll be a different challenge, I think. And I do wonder aloud if Houston over the long haul can score enough points to beat you. Maybe they can. But some of that will have to do with, I think you would have to help them and blow a coverage or miss some tackles or not be able to create any takeaways whatsoever. Because this isn't some flashy, this is a fairly easy scouting report. Like, they have a few dudes that are good at what they do, and it doesn't really get outside of that. Now, there's a few guys that I think could make some noise, but to this point in the season, they've really relied on their quarterback, their tight end, their running back, and occasionally they mix in some wide receivers with their outside guys. So we'll see, man. But maybe this is a trench game, Cowan, and if so, I like your chances.
I do too. To me, this is, I think I was seeing 49.5 over or under, and it's an under day for me. And I'm thinking, Chris, really compared to Utah, I almost feel like this is the offense that I'm thinking, and it's really not personnel, but just the style that I'm thinking Texas Tech is going to be in for a feast defensively. Because, and I know it's some of my lifelong Red Raider PTSD, which has nothing to do with Lee Hunter or Jacob Rodriguez, but when you're thinking about the mobile quarterback, as we talked about going into the Utah game, you're probably tighter than a snare drum, to use a term. But I kind of feel like in this instance, these pass rushers and some of what you're describing, maybe with that offensive line and some vulnerability for Houston, I'm a little more excited about maybe their chance to get busy here today. As for what Houston can do defensively against you, still something to be considered, and that maybe is why I'm more so thinking about a lower number than 49.5. But we'll get to that offensively for Texas Tech upcoming on another episode here this week. But before we get out of here, Chris, I mean, it seems to be sort of a varied approach among Red Raider fans, whether texting with some of the Matador mobsters, or I know what you're seeing on RedRaidersports.com.